perfect.
Okay, cool. Perfection. Welcome to another episode of Grind Culture Podcast. I am Ed.
What's up? I am Colton.
And as you can see here, we're testing out a new spot, a new location in the place that we call work here at TCR. This is our break room where we just had a latte art / work meeting /
Pizza party.
cupping.
Cupping. Oh my gosh, we had a great cupping
So
of some awesome coffees.
we had, we were just talking about this, the experience that we have here at TCR. Another reason why I like working here so much is that you and Brian make it a point to where you guys want us to camaraderie or build up some kind of morale through, like, it doesn't even have to be like pizza party is like such a cheesy and like made fun of thing in the workplace, but it's not always pizza. We get like different kind of foods and they're very unique and it's like not always the same. But on top of that, you were saying we get to do like latte art competitions here and cuppings here, which a lot of other people don't get to do at their workplace. So
Right.
here, working here is just, that's like another big part of just working here and how enjoyable it is. And you said it in the meeting today, like it's the time and the longevity of the current team that we have now is just a thumbs up as to like how people enjoy working here.
Yeah.
Because no one's left, and usually people leave by
Right.
this time around. So
Yeah, at least like 2 times a year, it seems like we have a new new flush of people coming in.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was cool. It's just a good day, I think, at the workplace, even though it could have not been such a good day because we're a little slow. I think we made you guys did like right by your team, I think.
Yeah, your team too, man.
Yeah. So
You're a big part.
So yeah, it's just a little bit of tidbit of what we do here at TCR.
Yep.
Different locations. Maybe we'll try a different location some other time, but for now, this is the break room. And today's episode, we'll talk about, speaking of latte art and just coffee in general, we're going to talk about coffee shops.
Yeah.
You kind of have an idea of where we want to take this episode, I think, better than I do, just out of my lack of due diligence of preparing for this episode. But
Yeah. And I switched it on you last minute. So.
yeah, I see your notes, and I see on the top of the notes is coffee shop expectations. Is that kind of like the basis of what we're gonna like try to break down, you and I here?
Yeah, I think we talk about obviously what me and you look for coffee shops.
Yeah.
And then maybe just a standard of what we expect out of each one of those coffee shops.
Do you want to go? So I guess let me ask this: what is your expectation of a coffee shop, of your ideal coffee shop?
So what do I choose if I'm going to go to a coffee shop?
Well, say you go into, so you have your, and I'll ask you this later, you have the coffee shops that you go to because obviously you like the coffee shops that you go to on a regular. But when you're trying a new coffee shop, one that you could put in the arsenal of like, hey, let's go here, like one Sunday or one Saturday morning.
Yep.
When you try a new coffee shop, what brings you back to that coffee shop?
It has to be a mix of everything. Obviously, I look for good reviews first. So before I even walk in the building, it needs to have, unless it's new, of course, I will have an open mind. Because obviously they don't have that foundation yet of people reviewing them. And you get to see like, okay, what's actually happening inside the building. I even actually do that if I go to a coffee shop that doesn't have good ratings. Because sometimes a lot of people don't like good coffee. So it's kind of hard to judge.
It's true.
But I look for good reviews. I go, and then usually I look for like cleanliness. I look for what the bar looks like. A lot of times my eyes go right to the coffee itself. So like what's in the hopper for their espresso machine, or like the grinder for the right next to their espresso machine. What type of coffees there are. If I walk in, I see oily dark beans right next to the espresso machine. I'm usually like, red flag. Not gonna like this place.
So you're attentive to detail when it comes to that stuff. Very interesting. I got a question. Are you one, side note from what you said, are you one, like when you're looking up a coffee shop to go to, like researching, do you look at the menu before you get to the coffee shop, or do you like to be pleasantly surprised when you get there?
No, I definitely look at the menu.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because a lot of coffee shops, especially specialty coffee shops, they will have kind of like their off menu. Sometimes there's a lot of good off menu options, and a lot of people will already have reviewed it, and they'll be like, hey, get this. You'll actually see that that's like the fan favorite.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of see what to expect before I walk into the building. Because, like, once you walk into a coffee shop, especially if it's small, if there's a small line, you go right to the counter, you're like, crap.
Yeah.
I have to make a decision quick, and I hate doing that. Because then I don't want to be like, I'll just take a vanilla latte, and you're like, and then all of a sudden you're like, crap, man.
I know.
Shouldn't have ordered that.
I know.
Can't take it back now. I'm not going to spend another $6-7 on a new drink. So definitely do my research first. I used to not do that, but I've learned through the years to not waste my money
It's a good point.
on ordering bad coffee drinks. So
yeah, that's a good point. It's almost like, especially nowadays, it seems like you have to have an online presence before an actual physical presence, because people often tend to look at Yelp and look at your menu and make sure like it has a good vibe, even like virtually. As weird as that sounds.
Yeah.
Before you entice them to bring them in. So you also have to have the good reviews, and you have to make sure people are talking about you, or at least you have like some kind of presence on social media.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like that brings people in nowadays, opposed to just like, driving by and I want to try this coffee shop, I would say.
Right.
So you kind of have to have like that social and like virtual presence to bring people in, which is very interesting. Actually, I never really thought about that. But
do you look at photos and reviews before you go?
Lindsay does, my wife.
Okay.
She's very good about that. She always, no matter even if it's like a coffee shop or a restaurant or like a dentist office or whatever, she'll look at reviews, she'll look at photos, she'll do, these people look like they like know what they're doing as far as like the way like to present themselves or anything like that. She's really good about that. So I kind of just piggyback off of her.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm like the one that delegates it, but I do enjoy preparing, especially because of what you said. And that actually I never really thought about. But that makes total sense to prepare yourself for your coffee shop experience, because now you have the ability to do that. So you don't feel like you're wasting your money. You go into it knowing what you want, setting some kind of expectation, I guess, and then you could either be expectedly maybe disappointed or not disappointed. I don't know. So just even like this conversation that we're having now, I'm going to start doing that more often for sure.
There's even like, it's even same for restaurants, I'll look up a menu before I go to a restaurant, because it's like there can be house favorites and you'll learn that very fast. Because I definitely hate going and you get, what do they call it? It's like order, you're just very indecisive. So then you just pick what's safe. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you regret what you ordered. And I hate doing that so much. So now it's like I'll prepare. That way I know there's something I do want to try. And then I'll try it.
So going back to what you're looking for when you actually get there, cleanliness is a big one. Make sure that they know how to handle coffee. They know the importance of quality of coffee and how you prepare it. Seems like that's kind of like the road you're looking for. Is there anything else? Like, what about like the people? I mean, you see reviews, obviously, you see the menu, but what about like the people, the ambiance? Like, is it kid friendly? Is it like coffee friendly? Is it coffee community friendly? Yeah. Is that, what else do you look for in that?
Yeah, so going down the line of looking up my process, I look up reviews, and then I go to the location. Obviously, you want to make sure I'm going to do like a nice environment, but I'm always down to go to a hole in the wall. If it doesn't look good on the outside, there could be some awesome stuff happening inside. So I'm not going to be like that bougie.
Yeah, true.
Because sometimes like the let's say poorest people will probably make you the best coffee, especially like the smaller they are, the more like into their craft they are, especially if they're just starting out. So I definitely like a shop that flows really well. I hate when you walk in the door and there's just boom, counter, or you can't even like walk in the door because it's so crowded. So obviously you think flow, right? You think you know where to order. You see a menu that's in a good place. They have a good flow. They have a good pickup spot. And then, because there's some places it's like you have the line and then you have your pickup spot that's way in the back, and then there's barely any room to walk anywhere. And then you just feel awkward, like waiting for your drink, or you feel awkward trying to find a place to sit because there's not enough places to sit. Yeah. it's frustrating sometimes, you know. I like a good experience, and if I'm gonna be bougie about it to the point where it's like my career now, okay, I'm gonna be bougie about it. So it's like gotta, especially if I'm with my wife and kids, you know, I want somewhere to sit that's really nice. Other than that environment, of course, cleanliness. Like, I hate when you feel like a shop is run down. There's a lot of shops that I've been to, and it's like you walk into the bathroom and it's just like there's no paper towels, or you know, you can feel like they just never clean it. You can tell like they have never even done like a good mop job. It's just like surface clean. I hate that stuff. Especially even like tables where you sit at. A lot of places, and this is like Starbucks. Like if you ever walked into Starbucks, there's no way the tables are gonna be clean.
No,
they're always nasty.
I never see them clean.
There's no one hustling.
No,
cleaning the table after every person. Like there should be a person cleaning always.
Yeah.
Making the spot nice for the next person, just like at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Sweeping the floors. Like, we're at a standard now, and I'm talking about specialty coffee shops here. I'm not bagging on Starbucks. I'm not talking about gas stations. I'm not talking about people that are just a generic coffee shop, a chain coffee shop. I'm not bagging on those, because that's the expectations I expect when I go to those places. I already know that stuff's not going to be upkept. But for me and you, people that are doing this for a living, people that are going to coffee shops a long distance away just to have an experience, to have a drink, like, these are my expectations, and this is why they're so high. So it's like, I gotta see those things.
Yeah.
And especially now, if we're spending, you know, $7 average on a latte or a specialty drink, like, come on, that's a lot of money. If I'm paying for that, everything else should kind of match up.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
No, that's very fair.
Yeah.
I mean, as a coffee shop or a coffee shop owner, there's certain standards now that you have to follow that I'm assuming you just didn't have to follow back then. People are so much more knowledgeable, and they care about the quality of coffee that they're getting, which is a good thing. And people will understand if you overprice things when the output is what are meeting people's expectations, if the quality is good. So I think you're right. I mean, people need to have a good understanding of what they're selling, because people aren't as, to phrase it unapologetically, they're not as dumb as they used to be as far as coffee knowledge goes.
Right.
I mean, I who was never thought I'd be into coffee, I know way more about coffee now, and I expect things, and I look for things in coffee shops, and I would hope that people understand that that's important to some people, especially if that's the niche you're trying to go for, because you're not, if you want to be another Starbucks, good luck. I mean, Starbucks is Starbucks. It's almost like not even a coffee shop anymore. Right. If that's what you're trying to go for, cater to those people. But if you're trying to be a local friendly coffee shop, like that has some kind of like personality to them and not just another coffee shop, you make sure you're producing what you're selling, and that should be quality and specialty grade coffee. Right. So that's absolutely fair. Yeah. Like when your assessment.
Beyond like cleanliness and vibes and flow, what do you look for? Let's talk about like staff. What do you look for in people behind the counter working at the coffee shop?
That's a good question. I like friendliness. This is probably the biggest gripe I have with coffee shops is the friendliness of the staff. Yeah. I don't know how many times I brought it up to you or just people that we work with, but my complaint always with the coffee shop, because one, I don't expect coffee to be 100% all the time. There's people coming into the shop. It's busy. Especially I'm going through busy hours. I understand that there's hustle and bustle going on, and that there's distractions, and that there's other people to accommodate to. So I don't expect a 100% coffee, though I'd rather have it for sure. Yeah. But I don't expect it. Right. So if the person that is serving me or the person that is making my coffee or just the staff in general can make my experience that much better, I'll look past the quality of coffee to an extent. Yep. If the staff treats me with like some kind of like appreciation that I'm coming into the shop and trying it out, right? Yeah. That's what you would want out of your staff. And I think out of my staff, even like out of anybody, like I would expect like, hey, thank you for trying my product. I do that. Like I make sure I have note cards if I sell one of my coffees. Like I would make note cards. I write something personal.
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much for buying my coffee. Appreciate the support.
Mm-hmm.
Or if somebody reaches out to me just like on a personal message, I say, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Give them recommendations. Like, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I always do that.
Yeah.
And so I want that. I want that experience. And I'll look past some of those things
Mm-hmm.
so long that people are like friendly to me and my family.
Right.
So that's like number one for
Okay.
sure. For sure. Number one. Yeah. Number two then is, like more and more the menu is important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it differentiates between the type of coffee shop that I go to. Cause again, I understand that not all coffee shops are supposed to be like professional cooks, professional bakers, right?
Right.
I go there for the coffee for like
Mhm.
foremost in general.
Right.
And then the food is secondary to me. I learned that.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I look for coffee. I look for variety. I look not only variety in the coffee beans, just the variety in like the type of drinks that you can make.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important to try to cater to people's coffee tastes. Because coffee, if you're a coffee shop, you should have different kinds of coffee.
Right.
You should make different kinds of coffee. You should have different knowledge of types of coffee. And then everything, again, should be secondary,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Food, you got bagels, you got muffins, you
Yep.
can have sandwiches, whatever.
Yep.
If you have it, again, I'll enjoy it. Thank you so
Right.
much for having it, but that's not important to me. It's the
Yeah.
coffee.
So
So
a coffee shop, master the coffee. First.
yeah, exactly.
Let that be your foundation.
So I look at the coffee menu, the variety of coffee styles, the variety of coffee themselves.
Okay.
And then if they have good like food, then yeah, maybe I'll order a food.
Right.
But that's number two for sure. Coffee,
Okay.
coffee variety,
Okay.
and coffee quality.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's definitely like, yeah, friendliness of the staff for sure. I think there's a way you can, even in your busiest times, of course it's not going to be 100%, but you can almost make it 100% if you at least just make sure the person on the register is friendly.
Yeah.
Put the most patient person there.
Yeah.
If they get frustrated, switch them out. I think you should have a good flow, because, I mean, we've talked about it before. If I have a bad experience, I might give them another try. But if I have a second bad experience, I'm not going to go back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not. It's at a point where it's like, I'm not going to waste my time, my money, to go back and have a bad experience.
Mhm.
Because like you said, it's perfect. Like, even if there's not the greatest coffee or food, whatever, if the environment is good, if the people are awesome, I'm going to go support you.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Even if coffee's like, okay,
Yeah.
it's not the best coffee I've had, but
Mhm.
I want to support those people,
Yeah.
because they are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But when you get the best of both worlds, it's
That's the best thing.
It's awesome. And I want to give a shout out to, so we have a local coffee shop, and I'm not just giving them a shout out because I'm actually one of their roasters and supply their coffee, but there's a place up in Menifee, and it's called Joyful Noise Coffee.
Mhm.
And it's exactly what I said. They have the product, but they're the best, like most kind people ever.
Mhm.
I guarantee when I walk in that door, I'm going to feel good
Mhm.
because they're just so friendly.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they're stoked to see me. They talk, they ask how's it going, they involve themselves in your life. Like, they feel like a local thing, like they feel like they want to invest their time in you, not just sell you a product.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're clean, they're great. So shout out to Joyful Noise and if you haven't been, go, you'll love them.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
they're really cool people. So shout out to them. And we have a bunch of other local shops that, are almost there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're 100%, but that Joyful Noise, they have not once have I ever felt like, they're having a bad day.
Yeah.
Or-
Go try Joyful Noise. They said it's in Menifee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go try them. I'll definitely go and try them. Maybe this weekend even. I do want to talk again about a coffee shop that I enjoy. A
Mhm.
coffee shop that is very important. In fact, I'm wearing one of their hats right now. Steady State.
Mm-hmm.
The first coffee shop that I actually fell in love with. I did want to bring up something though. You said it's a very good. It's a very good point to where how you would want to lay out your coffee shop, because there is a ebb and flow of how your coffee shop should be going.
Mhm.
It should be ran how customers experience the coffee shop
Yep.
in general, right?
Yep.
So when you said like if the counter is right in front of the door, that could be a good or bad thing depending on like the rest of the experience, I think.
Right.
I didn't think about like how your coffee shop should flow, because I think depending on how that is, you think it could be very annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think about that, and it's very important. Steady State, I actually think, had that problem for a long time.
Yeah, they were small.
Because they were very, very small. I again, going back to Steady State, and I love these guys. These guys, again, are my favorite coffee shop. They're in Carlsbad. I was there when they were in like a garage along with a clay molding place. I forget what that's called. And they were sharing that space with them. And
like
then
a ceramic studio?
Yeah, ceramic studio.
Yeah.
And then they eventually got their own place off State Street in Roosevelt. And they had that problem where they had the counter was right in front of the door, so
like
the line
5 feet.
yeah, so the line just went out the
Yeah.
door. Luckily,
Yeah.
they got I think they caught wind of that, and they just put like outside seating there and like some canopies up.
And it was pretty COVID, like cut off.
Yeah,
So it's like you almost had like order through the window, right? Because they
That's-
had all the seating blocked off for a long time.
that's exactly I think what the result of that was. This was COVID, because they were shut down.
Yeah.
They were only like through window service, kind of. That's kind of how they operated.
Yep.
But they improved that. They still kind of have like a line out the door, but they got a bigger space, and they made the counter space kind of like in the middle, like where there's like a little shop area, and then their counter, and then like behind that there's their like seating area, and then like more product if you want to go look at it.
Yeah, you can tell they really worked on their flow, and I love that. I love when you have the coffee shop, the everything happening, all the drinks being made, everything in the center, and a lot of room all around it.
Yeah.
It's more like a bar experience, like
Yeah.
a coffee bar experience. I really like that flow of things, because then you can walk around the whole thing. You're not trapped ever in a corner. You know, you always have a way to go. Your bathroom's off in the corner. You have outside seating. Everything's open. I think flow is probably one of your biggest things to think about when you own a coffee shop, or at least design it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about that until now. That's a really good point. You know, kind of has that kind of style, like that little bar style, is Intaza. No, not Intaza. Intaza, right?
Yeah,
yeah. They kind of have that.
Yeah.
They kind of have that style.
Yeah, they're great too. See, they have that center.
Yeah.
And then you have room to walk around the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's ideal. Especially like when you can, you know, you have food coming from one spot, you have coffee in another, you have dishes, you know where to put your dishes, you know, 'cause everything's clearly labeled. You have a long line, like you said, their line goes out the door. You can see the menu already coming. You can scan something when you're standing in line. So it just makes everything a lot easier. It makes your experience better.
Yeah, very true. Now I'll look for that for coffee shops, I think, just
a good
because
flow.
it'll be in the back of my mind.
Yep.
Another thing is that you mentioned is coffee shops that like generally are good to like that you go back to. Is there any other like favorite coffee shops that you like around our area, or just like that you visited in other areas that people are maybe listening to, that they're in the area that you just like want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, so locally, I do have my top 3, and that's obviously Joyful, Abode. Always had a good experience at Abode, so shout out to them. And then I really like The Press. I think they're doing it well. I'd say they probably could be a little more cleaner, but that's just being nitpicky. Like, you can tell their older shops are a little bit more ran down and their surface cleaned rather than like really deep cleaning. But they're pretty good too. They have pretty good standards. You could tell that they're trained right. And then consistency is kind of a problem I've experienced there before. Like if I order a flash brew, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's okay. But most of the time it's good. I'll take most of the time. They're good enough to where I return frequently. So
that's another thing that I kind of wanted to touch upon is consistency of the product. And again, I know it's hard for people to be 100% consistent, especially in coffee making, because There could be days where like your espresso machine's just not working properly, or the milk is different because you ran out of different milk, or you got different staff and you got to do training.
Yeah.
But I think there should be, again, a good flow of training and then testing and then people going to serve.
Yeah.
Especially when you have coffee. And I expect this out of like a chef or a restaurant or anything like that. Again, their product is half the battle of running a shop. And that's like a full half, I think.
Yeah.
And if you have consistency in your product and your product is good, that's just going to bring more customers back alone.
Right.
Do you, and I do give it a pass sometimes because I know everything doesn't work the way that ideally it should work. Do you get frustrated if, like, is your first impression the end all be all, or would you try it again? And if it's like the same, then you just stop going there? Or if like you have a good coffee and then you don't have a good coffee, you'll just keep giving it a chance?
Yeah. So 1 bad experience, I'll go back. 2 bad experiences, it's going to be rare if I go back, you know, because it is expensive now. And, but if I do have half and half, so if I have a good one, then if I have a bad one, then I know that they have good coffee, but it's just not dialed in that day or somebody wasn't trained properly. So let's just talk about being trained properly. And like you hit it on the head. Like, it is like going to a restaurant. A chef has certain standards. There's a certain way you should cook the food. So when people coming in, and In-N-Out, as funny as this sounds, is perfect example of this. You know, you can go to any In-N-Out and it's going to be the same.
True.
No matter where you are.
True.
It's going to be the same. They set those standards. And if somebody at that scale can do it perfectly with food, there's no reason a coffee shop should be, one time it's good, one time it's bad, one time it's good, one time it's bad. It's not that hard to dial in coffee. And if you feel rushed, then there's the bigger issue there. You know, if you're stressed out and a barista, whoever's on bar, is just like, who cares? You know, people just, they're going to drink it, you know? No, there has to be a level of professional, like, dialed in your coffee, keep it here. This is the ingredients. This is how much ice you should put. This is how much flavor you should put. This is how much whatever. You know, there should be a recipe to each thing, and that recipe should be followed. And simple as that. I mean, I know it sounds bougie, but we're at that point. And if, like I said, I'm not judging the Starbucks. I'm not judging any of the generics. I'm judging the specialty coffee shops that are supposed to be serving craft drinks, right? So, yeah, I hold a standard there. Pretty heavy.
I got a question, and it's kind of like a future thing. So I agree with a bunch of that, especially like in the manner of like there should be, you're paying for something, so the product should have some kind of expectations, as I mentioned. For restaurants, and like, not that I'm like trying to put a standard to like a restaurant, like especially like a high-end restaurant, to like a coffee shop, but at the same time, do you see a possibility where like there's like coffee school, much like culinary school, where people take schooling and then with the credentials that they have, they're able to go on bar and create or make coffee for certain. I know it would probably cost a lot to employees, like somebody like that.
Right.
But at the same time, not really, I don't think.
No.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like 4-year degree in coffee barista arts, you know. It could be like a year certification, or like, hey, you take this credential to a coffee shop that you wanted to work for, and you could just be hopping on. Hopefully they have like the proper equipment you could hop on into like their bar.
Yeah. I think, I haven't seen any like educational like things like that for coffee shops. I don't think there's money there to be able to build something like that. Yeah. Especially because a lot of coffee shops, it's in-house training. And then how coffee shops usually hire new baristas is experience-based. So they already want to see, if they're a specialty coffee shop, Starbucks, whatever, they'll hire whoever's ready to work, you know, and they'll throw an 18-year-old kid in there and train them however and throw them in. But If you're a specialty coffee shop, yeah, there should be people with experience. And then I think if you have new people that want to learn, and this is where the education starts, I think you should have people learning off shift. So people not serving drinks to customers yet until they're at a certain level where they're, handing out drinks, making drinks, until, the owner, whoever, the manager is like, okay, this person's got it dialed in. They're knowledgeable. There should be a certain standard they have to do, rather than, you walk in, and I've actually had this happen quite a few times, is where I walk in and the drink being made for me is somebody training. And it's like the person that should have made my drink, it's like, oh, somebody like, okay, yeah, do this now and do this. It's like, no, let's wait a little bit to train them before you throw them on bar making people's drinks. Because you're not going to get a good drink out of that. I mean, you might if it was dialed in and they're really watching, but for education, that'd be cool. It'd be cool for coffee shops. Like, okay, yeah, you sign up to get hired for a place, and maybe they're like, okay, yeah, we have this course for you to take, or something that they can implement. That'd be really cool. Because it's just like roasting, right?
Yeah.
They already have that for roasting. You could take courses. You can there's online, almost college classes for roasting, those types of things. So, yeah, for a coffee shop, I just think the money's not there for some reason. So, and who knows? Maybe there is.
Maybe in the future, dude. I mean, I could totally see that benefiting like a lot of coffee shops. And it doesn't have to be like an expensive thing, and it doesn't have to be like an educational, like university style type thing. It could just be like, hey, there's a local course that you can take. Yeah. We could send you over there, and because you're a reference to our coffee shop, it is not that expensive. Yeah. And you could do this training, or they pay for it, part of it, or whatever. Right. I think I could see something like that. Yeah. I think it would be beneficial to a lot of people.
I have, now that I'm thinking about it. So I have seen coffee shops hire outside sources, like an outside professional, to come into their coffee shop and train their staff. Yeah. And I think that's pretty key. Like, hey, this is how you should really froth milk. Hey, this is what a latte is. This is what a cortado is. This is everything. This is how you do pours. This is how your cold brew should be made. Like, they have professionals come in and teach them every now and then, especially with like newer staff. So there's actually a local coffee shop right next to Abode called Montague Brothers, and they actually do that. They bring in a professional and he trains their staff, and then they all learn, and so that's pretty cool. And shout out to them too. If you have not been there, they're awesome people. They have good coffee. They have good food. And I think they're actually, I would give them the most props for being like the most local involved. Like, they love their community. Like, the owner, Raphael, he's like all about the city they're in, Wildomar. And he gives everybody shout outs. He like goes and shops locally and always gives people like, hey, I'm here, so-and-so, like, check them out, support them. He's always doing stuff like that. So, and I think we can talk about that too. So beyond like all the things that we expect when we go to coffee shops, what do you think coffee shops should be doing more than being a coffee shop? So when I'm talking about local stuff, events, what do you think ideally coffee shops should implement outside of their menu, I guess you could say?
Definitely support the community that they live in, because without them, they wouldn't be running up. They wouldn't have a business, right? Right. So you kind of have to give back in that way. I think it's very cool when, like, it's not only coffee shops, but anybody and even participate in like a farmer's market. They're like local farmer's market, or like they go and like help, I don't know, like people that, I don't want to say like starting a coffee company, but if people have like questions about like business, or if they have questions about like coffee in general, they should offer some kind of like education when it comes, like whether it's on their site or whether it's like on, I don't know, in person at their store. Yeah. There should be some type of like due diligence where like you could teach somebody something about the business that you're running, or or just about business in general, by participating in like again, like farmers markets or like community meetings or like school, if you could get yourself into like a school and just like teach like a coffee seminar, or just like any kind of seminar,
Yeah.
like have people like excited about like coffee and teach them knowledge and the importance of like good practices and like not only coffee but in business. I think helping like the community in that way is beneficial to the community in general.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know what else could like coffee shops do, like other than sell just coffee.
Well, like we've seen locally, we've seen them do like latte art throwdowns. I think that's really cool to bring like outsiders in and to kind of bring other coffee shops around and kind of have like an in-house party with latte throwdowns and offer prizes for the winners. I think that is awesome. You know, have music, have people show up. I think that's really cool. I think coffee shops should have, I've seen it like cupping courses. I think they should like have, like, I want to see stuff happening inside that coffee shop on the weekends or on special events. Like, I want to see cuppings. I want to see like live roastings. I want to see, like, if they're legit, like they should know about coffee, and then everything like we're teaching our followers. It's like, I want to see that happening at the coffee shop. I want to see them like, and when we're talking about like education, I want them to be able to teach people about coffee, right? I want to teach them all the way down, like even if it's farming, you know, like I think baristas and even the owners of coffee shops should know all that. I think they should have that background.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what our coffee is. This is what it's doing. This is what you're supporting. This is how coffee should taste. You know, it's not just like you should drink sweet coffees all the time. It's like all the stuff that we're talking about, coffee shops should do that, you know? So true. Anything from coffee education to latte art throwdowns to in-house like music, like bands playing, I think that type of things they should be doing, pushing, you know? And it's not only, it's good for the community, it's good for their business. Like, I don't know. And the press has actually done a really cool event the last few years for Valentine's Day. I haven't been, and sorry if I butcher this if they're watching, but they have like a 4-course like meal for a couple, like you can sign up for, and it's like you have, I think it's either a treat or a food, and then they pair a coffee with it, and they give you like a 4-course like meal for 2 on Valentine's Day. It's really cool, but like little things like that. I think you should get creative, do stuff outside of the box, and not just be your standard coffee shop like that's just serving coffee, close down, and that's it. Like, you should be heavily involved.
Yeah.
So yeah,
some of the coffee shops that we named actually do a lot of that. Like Abode does a lot of that.
Yeah, they do the parties.
Press.
Yep.
Steady State, I don't know if they do a lot of that. I haven't been in Carlsbad in a minute, and so like I don't really catch up with like a lot of the events that they do. So I'm not sure that they do that, but also the coffee latte art throwdown thing is very cool because we went to one at the press last year. I don't know if they're probably holding one this year.
Yeah, I hope so.
That was a lot of fun when we went to that.
Yeah.
And it was a cool experience. They invited different coffee shops. They had different coffee shops represented from different baristas.
Yeah, there's people from like LA coming in, San Diego coming in. It was pretty awesome.
That was cool. So if you understand that you're a coffee community and not just like a coffee corner, meaning like you're not, and you don't always have to be in competition with other coffee shops.
Right.
Like you could be in cahoots with other coffee shops. I think that's also something that you should be doing as far as like a coffee shop goes, is like understanding that there's plenty of space for different coffee shops. You don't have to be number one or the best or the only one.
Yeah.
You guys all can eat. There's plenty of food out there, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's a very important thing to understand as a coffee shop or a coffee business owner, is that like there's plenty people out there to serve.
Yeah. And like I mentioned, Raphael from Montague Brothers, he actually does coffee crawls every year.
Yes,
so he'll sign up, he'll take like 20 people on a coffee crawl to all the local coffee shops, and he'll have like them experience what each person is like, what you should experience at each shop. And I mean, that alone, it tells like he's a major supporter of everybody involved. So that's another event, I think should be happening. So.
Yeah, coffee crawls too. Yeah, he seems like he does it right. I haven't been to Montague Brothers. Are they opening a new location, by the way? Did I hear that or no?
I'm not sure.
Anyways, but I need to go visit them because I've heard a lot of good things about them, not only from you, but from Nate and Cameron, I think. He's mentioned them before, too. You did mention music and coffee shops and, like, kind of, like, events and stuff like that. Does the importance of, like, coffee ambiance bother you at all, like certain type of music or like certain type of just like culture, not cultures, but like niches that people bring in? Does that ever deter you from like a coffee shop at all?
I haven't had a bad experience when it comes to music or vibes or anything like that. I've usually enjoyed, like, I haven't gone to a place and not gone back because I mean they had bad music or I felt weird walking in.
Right.
I don't like going. I don't know if I should mention this, but I don't like going to coffee shops on Halloween.
Oh,
I
right.
hate when they do like the whole dark thing, and
Yeah.
I bring my kids in, and there's like some weird stuff hanging up.
Yeah.
I'm really just thinking about one coffee shop that kind of like made it kind of gory
Oh yeah, that's not.
around Halloween. And I'm like, oh no, stop! Like, don't do that, please.
Again, that is part of the question. Like, if they try to cater to certain individuals, it's fair to say that not everybody's going to be enjoying that kind of thing.
Right.
So if I would avoid something like that too, especially because we're family men. So like, why would you want to take your kids to see something like that?
Right.
You know. But if that's the kind of people they want to bring in, I guess to each their own, right? At least they're trying to be individuals or separate themselves, I guess. And if they're doing it that way, people will like that. I imagine, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just good neutral music is fine as long as it's not too loud. I've never gone to a coffee shop and the music is too loud or anything like that.
Right. Anything else, like any other accommodations, like is like bathrooms or like, I don't know, like other activities important to you in like coffee shops or no?
Not really, as long as it's clean, as long as it's tidied up and
Yeah.
you can tell that, the staff is active and they're friendly and they're taking care of the place, and you can tell behind bar all the right things are happening, and it's just, that's all I kind of really look for. I don't really, outside of that, I'm not really too nitpicky. I'm not like,
So like a big, and I don't know if we want to end on this, but like there's a thing that I've noticed in like social media that's been going around is people are trying not only to be coffee shops anymore, they're trying to add like a secondary like facade, not facade, but like a secondary fascination to it. Like I've seen, especially in San Diego, like it's either a coffee shop / botanical garden or like a nursery
plant shop,
or a coffee shop / arcade or game room or a coffee shop / record
ceramic
room
studio
or, something like that. What do you think about that? Like,
I think it's cool. As long as it doesn't get in the way of the coffee. I think it's cool. It's people kind of just like creating a creative environment. I think that's really cool. Bring it all in. Like I said, the more the merrier. But definitely have that coffee as the foundation. If you're a good like specialty coffee shop, dial one thing in at a time and then introduce it. Don't just launch this whole like market of everything.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's cool. I mean, again, like people are trying to be different. They're trying to be themselves and like stand out. But always make sure that your coffee is number one.
And then I think lastly, just prices. Prices on coffee are stupid. I'm just gonna say that. I think it's ridiculous. I'm gonna pay it just because I love coffee so much and I want to support people. But if it gets to a point where it's $10 for my drink, I'm sorry, I'm staying home. Unless it's like a special treat. But if they just keep going up, I don't know. Like, how can you pay how could you pay $10 for a latte? It's not worth it for me. Like a little thing of milk, Talking about standards, it better if coffee prices do go up, it better be perfect every single time.
That is a very tough thing because like
it's like doubled in the past like 10 years.
His coffee has gotten, and a lot of things.
I get it that it's everything.
I don't want to get like political or anything because
No.
I don't think this is like a good space for us to get political, but things have just been going up in price, and it's unfair to like coffee shops and businesses. I understand that, and I know they kind of have to accommodate the prices and the inflation and blah blah blah, poo 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 poo.
Yeah.
So I get raises in coffee, but don't take advantage of your customers.
Right.
Don't try to suck out every penny of their hard-earned money.
Right.
Because like at the end of the day, we hope that you have quality coffee and we hope that you have good service and that you're selling an experience as well.
Yeah.
But don't overprice your coffee. It's not necessary. People want to come back and they want to be able to enjoy it and not feel like guilty about it at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that.
I would get it if it was competition like coffee bar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So beyond the specialty coffee shop, there is coffee bars where they're serving like super expensive coffees. And you got the people serving you, the baristas, are like coffee professionals. Like a lot of this happened, LA and, different parts of the world that are super fancy. Like Dubai and a lot of stuff in Japan. This is like what they do. I understand going to that because that's like going to a fancy restaurant, like a steakhouse, compared to like your normal. So I get it. But if you're just like a good coffee shop, there has to be a point where you're like, okay, we can't charge people this much for coffee. We got to start thinking of other ways, especially the stuff that we just talked about, to make up for the lack in that coffee price. So like, bring more events in, sell more things at a good, I don't know, just there's got to be a way. DJ saying bye to us.
Well, he's like saying, yeah, maybe like cut costs in other ways.
Just find a way, because I mean, otherwise you're just going to keep moving along the lines with inflation. So, I mean, eventually people are going to stop paying for things.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
But like you said, I won't get too into that right now.
Right.
I just think there's ways to go about it.
Yeah.
And, especially if, like me and you, we go in with our families, we spend, gosh, man, let's say $30. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy for a drink and, like, a treat.
Some days that's on a good day, too.
I can go to, like, In-N-Out and get a cheaper meal for my whole family.
I know.
But I understand it's, like, a treat and things like that. And then, lastly, like, I hate when you, spend that money. You're like, okay. And then they flip the freaking screen around, and it's like, okay, now pay 20% more for tip. Of course I want to support them and tip them. Like especially if it's a good experience. Heck yeah. Like I want to treat you guys right. I know you're not making like as much money as you should. Like in other parts of the world where tipping isn't even a thing, but it's hard here when you're like, okay, $30 and then they flip it around. You're like, oh, it's going to be $40 now. Yeah. Or more.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not even at a restaurant getting served.
It's
hard, and we don't need to get into that. We can get into tipping in another episode because we can talk about it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things I want to get on into tipping, and we could talk about another episode. But you're right.
But in the past few years, it's definitely tipping has been a little ridiculous. It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, now I could have got 2 more drinks.
I agree. Yeah, it is. It's exactly right. Anyways, yeah, that's a whole nother like topic that I could go down the road of, but. Anything else do you want to bring up as far as like coffee shops go? I know we kind of wanted to get into like our ideal coffee shops, like if we were like going to start one.
But I think everything we talked about is kind of what I would implement in the shop. Everything that I expect, those would be my expectations and more, because I would also want a roastery in my coffee shop. So I'd want the best of both worlds. I want the knowledge there. I'd want the friendliness there, the cleanliness, the people trained up. Everything I talked about, that would be my coffee shop, the flow of things, the way I build it and all that things.
I think there is like an importance of like setting expectations or just having an idea, being prepared, that I think that would be like a cool episode in itself, just to like envision, okay, put yourself in this scenario. These are the steps that you would do. This is like the training. This is the equipment. When would you set it up? Where would it be? How would you set things up? Would you bring family into it? Would you just hire outside people into it? There's like a whole branch of things I have just like questions on that. I think that'd be like a fun episode just to do like down the road.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's our opinion on coffee shops. Again, I want to shout out some of the coffee shops that we mentioned here, because those guys that we've mentioned, they made coffee shop experiences so good for me and my family that we always will go back. And if this is like a little thing that we can do to give back and like to help them and just reach out their name, even like to the few people that may listen to us, I think they deserve it.
Yeah,
And so that's
definitely
for me, Steady State for sure. On your and my behalf, Abode,
Abode.
to support Cameron, especially our good friend, and the owner. I forget her name, but she's awesome too. I ran into her. And
Seti.
Sadi, yes, Sadi. And then who else did you say?
Montague Brothers.
Yeah.
So, and then Montague Brothers, Joyful Noise, and then the Press locally. So those are in town coffee shops that we like. Steady State, as you said, there's a lot of good ones by the beach.
Yeah.
Love Song in San Diego.
Oh yeah,
they're really great
for sure. Then
they're doing things right.
And then the one in Oceanside that you mentioned, I think you said you liked them a lot. They were in that beauty school.
Revolution Roasters.
Yeah,
they're pretty good too. There's some in Orange County. I mean, I can go along the lines, but Play Coffee in Orange County, in Orange, downtown Orange, they're really great. Thank You Coffee in Anaheim. I can keep going, but for now, let's keep it at that.
Yeah, let's keep it that. We'll tag everybody.
Yeah.
And again, a big thank you to everybody that has been supporting us. I kind of want to make an emphasis of that. Like, I see the viewership and I see the following and I see the questions and the comments. Thank you again for supporting us in this adventure that we're taking on.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Next episode, we're going to have one of our friends and coworkers, Nate.
Yep.
And we'll discuss. If you have any questions for Nate, feel free to ask them. I'm going to post this episode early so we can get them in.
Yep.
Or if there's anything that you want us to discuss or ask as far as Nate or our behalf, just let us know.
Yeah, we'll talk about a lot of coffee farming all the way down to the roasting. I think it will be heavy on that side of things. So if you do have any more questions, then let us know for sure.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.